Welcome, everybody. We're going to do a wonderful macrobiotic cooking class today, and I'm going to teach you how to prepare all this wonderful food into a nourishing, healthy meal, and that tastes delicious, that you and your family will absolutely love. All right, so we're going to make today brown rice sushi rolls with tempeh and avocado, sauerkraut and scallions, and gamasio. And we're going to make Azuki beans with kabocha squash. Actually, I'm going to use butternut squash and yams and kombu. And then another vegetable stew with all kinds of wonderful vegetables, onions, daikon, carrots, rutabaga, parsnips, and kabocha. And we're going to make broccoli and kale, and with a sesame ginger dressing. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we cook the rice. So I've done that, and here it is. So this is short grain brown rice. Other types of grains that you could use in a macrobiotic meal could be basmati rice, millet, quinoa, amaranth. There's all kinds of grains. You can use occasionally noodles, soba noodles, udon noodles, pasta, but the best is the whole grains. So this is for the sushi, and what I've done is cooked it with, this is 2 cups of water, 2 cups of rice, and I cooked it with 4 cups of water. So we have to let it cool to make the sushi. So I'm going to take a plate. Okay, well, that's okay. We're just going to scoop it up. I'm just going to fluff it up a little bit. Okay, and then we'll start to cool. See how the steam releases? Just got to get that cooling. So then we're going to start with the Azuki beans while that's cooling. And for the Azuki beans, we have, here's the pot I'm going to use. And, okay, let's see. I'm just going to put this right here. So what I need, here's the Azuki beans. And this is Hokkaido Azuki beans. You can use any kind of Azuki beans, but they're nice, nice shiny little red beans. You know, they're just very beautiful, and they're very nutritious. There's other beans that you could use for cooking.
Hi, Diane. Diane, remember me?
Oh my God. Hi, how are you? I still love you. You guys, miss you. Okay. So Azuki beans are low in fat and very high in protein, and they're very high in iron. So other beans that you can use in macrobiotic cooking are lentils and chickpeas. And those beans have the least amount of fat. Other beans that you can use occasionally are like pinto beans, black beans, lima beans. But the 3 best beans for healing and a good macrobiotic diet on a regular basis is Azuki beans, chickpeas or garbanzo beans, and lentils. So there we go. So now, what we're going to do is I've soaked them overnight, and we're going to throw away the soaking water. Okay. So here's a bowl, and I'm going to just strain out the water. Let's see how I can do that. Just pour that out. I have a strainer here, but it's okay. All right, that's good. Now, once I've done that, I am going to take kombu. This is kombu, and I take just a piece, and I'm just going to break it up and put it on the bottom of the pot. Okay. All right, great. Just break it up in small pieces, or you can soak it and cut it up, whatever you like. All right, so here is the kombu on the bottom of the pot. Now I'm going to layer the yams. This is a yam. I just chopped it up. And I'm going to layer that right over the kombu. And then I'm going to take butternut squash. And here's what butternut squash looks like. It's just, I just cut a piece at the end and just cubed it and place that right over. And now I'm going to take the soaked Azuki beans and place it right on top. Now I'm not going to stir it. I'm just going to let it do its thing in the layers. So now we have 3 things in there. And then I'm going to take water and just carefully pour the water in until it's about an inch, half an inch over the top. And there you go. And then you just cover it and you bring it to a boil. And if there's any foam, you remove the foam. And then just take it to the stove. And magic, I have another one already cooked. There we go. Nice and steamy. Just put this down here. Okay, so now this is what this looks like. Can you see that? Yeah, okay. I don't know if you can, but it's, let's see, try to put that. So now it's all done. So then what you have to do is just sprinkle a little tamari in it. Again, we put it at the end, not at the beginning, and give it a stir. And then that's it. And then the kabocha, actually, in this dish, I did kabocha as well, but it sweetens the beans. And it's just delicious. That's good. There you go. So that is the Azuki beans. I'm going to put that down here. All right. So the next dish we're going to do is the stew. So okay, here's a pot for the stew. So now in this dish, we're going to use a combination of root vegetables and squash. Okay, so let's see if I have a lid. Okay. So I'm going to take a pot. Now I'm going to layer the vegetables. I'm going to take just a little bit of water. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. So you put a little bit of water on the bottom of the pot. Okay, just like an inch. Okay, and then we're going to layer the vegetables. So the first vegetable we're going to do is put onions on, and I just cut it in like little segments. Just layer that down. And then I just put a few drops of tamari, not a lot, just a few on this layer. The next vegetable I'm going to do is daikon. Daikon radish is a very good vegetable to help reduce the fat in the body, and it's very pungent. It is very good for you. It's a very good root vegetable. And this is what a daikon looks like. It's a piece of it. Okay, so I've just sliced it up, and then I'm going to layer that right on top of the onions and without stirring, and just a few drops over that, not too much. And then I'm going to layer some parsnips. Okay. And again, just a few drops. Okay. Then we're going to layer rutabaga. And I'm going to go ahead and put the carrots there. And then drops. Okay. And then this is kabocha squash. And I'm adding that on top. And if you don't have kabocha squash, then you can use yams or butternut squash. Okay. All right, so that's it. So this is what it looks like in the pan. See? And then I don't have to add any more water. I just added a little tiny bit of water in the beginning. And I'm gonna put it on the stove and just let it cook for 10, 20 minutes. See. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay. All right. So while that's cooking, then we could do the kale and the broccoli dish. So what we have for that, this is broccoli. That's what broccoli is. And then we have some beautiful kale. There's two types of kale. One is this curly kale, and the other one is kind of like an alligator kale or lacinato kale. Okay. All right. So what I've done is cut up the. I'm running around here. So this is the broccoli, and I just parboiled it just for a few minutes, and then I'm going to cook the kale. So the kale here is washed. Some of these bowls. Right. So there's a stem on here that takes longer to cook than the leaves. So sometimes what I do is I cut off the stem, but I'm going to cook the stem as well. I don't want to waste it. But if there's large stems, then you want to cook those first, okay, or cut them in smaller pieces. Okay, so that's good. Let's put this right here. Okay, hope you can still see the board. Let me move this away. Okay. All right, we're done with all this. And there's glasses. Okay.
And if you could move the Azuki beans, we could see your board better.
This right here? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
With the kale in it. Okay. All right. So this dish is all done. And then I will plate that later. Let's just put this right here. Okay. How's that? Okay. Is that better? Okay. And we don't need this.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Okay, cool. All right. So we're just going to chop these stems and then get the pot. Here's the pot. And then I use the same water as I cook the broccoli in. So then we're just going to chop up this. And you're going to do a rough chop here. And like 1-inch squares is good. Then turn it. And there we go. And put it in the pot, and it just should take less than a minute, and you got nice steamy kale. So let's put that on the fire. Okay, great. So with that, we're going to do a sesame ginger dressing, and to make that is very simple. It's just a few ingredients: fresh ginger and sesame oil and a few drops of tamari. So let's see what we have here. Let's see. So here is ginger. It's fresh ginger, and I'm going to show you how I grate it. And this is a nice ceramic grater. And then what else do we have? We have a little sesame oil and tamari. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just grate some, and I'm just going to chop off a little piece. All right. And just peel the skin a little bit. Again, it's not that important if you don't peel it. Okay. This is for the gamasi. Okay. All right, so here we go. So here's the grater, and you just take it and you can set it flat on the board, and you just grate it like this, rub it back and forth. Just a piece. Okay. It helps if you have a larger piece. Okay, but this is good. All right. So we have this ginger. Okay. Then we're going to take a bowl and we're going to put the ginger in. Let's see. But I don't want all the pulp. I'm just going to squeeze that out. Okay, so let's just get some of the juice. I'll show you how I do that. So you just take this on the side and you just go like this and you see the juice coming out. Okay, so we just want the juice. Again, as I mentioned. Okay, so we have the juice and we're going to put this aside. And then we're going to take some sesame oil. Okay. Wait, let me check the kale real quick. Voila, the kale is nice and bright green. And then we're going to take a little bit of sesame oil. About a tablespoon. It just depends on how much you want to use. It depends on how much you're going to use. And then a little tamari. And that's it. So then we're going to just give it a little stir. We're going to take out the kale and we're going to put it in the bowl with the broccoli like this. You don't want to cook your kale too long, just a minute or so or less, depending. And there we go. Okay. Okay. So then we're going to take the dressing and just drizzle it over the top. Like that. Okay. And we'll toss it together. Let's see. Okay. All right, so just kind of mix it together and you can add more dressing if you like, or just a little bit. There we go. So this is the greens. Very important to have greens at every meal. And greens have a lot of chlorophyll and a lot of iron and calcium, and they're just so delicious. It's like my favorite part of the meal. So look at that. Very nice. So then, now we're going to work on the sushi rolls. So here we go. Let's just clean the board. Okay. So I love making sushi because it's like the whole meal in one. If you're on the go and you want to just take something with you, the nori roll is perfect because you have your brown rice in there and you have, your beans like tempeh, and you can put vegetables in there, carrots, cucumbers, greens, whatever. Some of the things I like to put in rolls are kinpira, and that's a dish that I love with burdock and carrot. And I finally julienne that and saute it and put that in there, and it's so delicious. Hijiki is another great ingredient for sushi rolls. But today I'm going to use tempeh and avocado is my main ingredient for that. So there we go. So what we need, there's a few ingredients here. I'm ready to the stove. Okay. So we're done all this. Okay. So now we're done with this. This is tempeh. Okay. Tempeh is
Diane, can you move the greens, please? The broccoli. Yeah.
Is that better? Thanks. Thanks for letting me know. Let me just put this here. Okay. Okay. So tempeh is a wonderful source of protein, and it's a whole soybean, and it's just fermented. It's similar to tofu, but tofu is just the milk from the soybean. And again, tempeh is the whole bean, and it's so nutritious, and it has so much protein. So what I've done here in this pot is I've taken some kombu and water, and I just cooked the tempeh. You can also pan fry it, but it's very important that you cook it all the way through because it is a bean and it has to be cooked. So there's a piece of kombu on the bottom. Always when I cook beans, I add kombu. It's very important. And that the reason why, because it's makes it more digestible, and it adds a lot of calcium, and it just tastes delicious. Okay, let me just clean this up. 1 second. Okay. Clean the board. Okay, so here's the board clean. Great. So good. Let's take this off. So now we're going to start to make the sushi. I prefer to use a toasted nori. This is nori, and it comes in a package, which is nice. It's already toasted. If you have raw sushi nori, and you want it to become toasted, you just take the nori over the flame on the stove and just lightly, very lightly high, at a high distance, just put it over the flame and it will toast up a little bit. And that's the case too if you even have toasted nori and it gets a little soft and you want it to be a little crispy. So again, just put it over. So then what I'm going to do now is there's 2 sides to this nori. One is a little rough and the other one is shiny. So I'm going to take the shiny side down because that's going to be on the outside. So I'm going to place it down. Okay. Now we're going to take some rice and place it right on the end of the nori that's closest to you. Okay, and just flatten it down. So, and you want to make sure that the rice is cooled. With sushi, most of the people, or actually a lot of people, put some kind of vinegar and sugar in the rice, which I don't do. I sometimes would add mirin, and mirin is it's kind of like, if you get one without sugar, then that's best. But it kind of gives it a sweet, vinegary taste. So, great. So then you flatten it down. Okay, can you see? You can see the board, okay, right? Great, awesome. So the next thing I'm going to do is use umeboshi plums, and I love umeboshi. It has this taste that is indescribable. And so here's the plums, and I'm just going to take one out like this, and you just take the pit out, and you can actually suck on the pit, and it's just like a gumball. I mean, it's so it's just has this nice sour taste that's delicious, and it's very alkalizing, by the way. Very alkalizing. It's so good for you. There's some other things that you can do with an umeboshi plum. One thing you can add is the salad dressings. But what I like to do sometimes is make an Ume Shoukuzu drink. And what that is, it's a morning beverage that's drinking hot. And the way you make it is you take water and umeboshi plum and tamari, and then you take kuzu, and the kuzu makes it thick and soothing. So that's a wonderful drink, medicinal beverage. So I just take a little bit of this umeboshi plum and put it right on the board. Okay. Now, next we're going to take some tempeh, and we're going to slice it. There we go. Now, once you boil the tempeh, you can actually pan fry it to make it crispy. And I've done that many times just to have a nice crunch. Okay. So then we're going to add, I'm using my fingers here, sauerkraut. And the sauerkraut is the pickle in the meal. Now, in macrobiotics, there's the grain, the bean, the vegetable, and the pickle. And there's also seaweeds too, which we'll talk about. But the pickle is like it helps digestion. And it's sour, has a lot of probiotics, and it's just delicious. And you don't want to have too much, just a tablespoon or two, and that will help digest your food. Okay, so we have the sauerkraut and the tempeh on here, and the umeboshi. Now we're going to put some avocado on here. This is a nice California avocado, organic. And so the way I do this is I just take the avocado, slice it in half, and just take a spoon or a knife and take out some pieces like this and put it alongside. So like 3 nice pieces. Okay, there we go. Now, what else? What else goes on there? Scallions. Here's some scallion, nice green scallion. I also like to put scallions on my miso soup in the morning. That is delicious. Okay, put some scallions on here. What else? Pretty big. Now, the last ingredient I'm going to put in is gamasio. And I happen to make my own gamasio. And here it is. So this is very important to know how to make this gamasio. I'll tell you why. It's a combination of sesame seeds and sea salt. This helps make your grains more alkalizing, okay? And it's just has a nice salty taste, not too overly salty, and it's just delicious. So the way to make this is you take a cup of sesame seeds, brown sesame seeds is best, and you wash them. I put them in a strainer and I immerse them in water and swish it around, and then I lift it out of the water in the small strainer and pan roast it until it gets brown and starts to pop. Once that is done, I immediately transfer the sesame seeds to a plate. While the pan is still hot, I take salt, a couple teaspoons of salt, and roast the salt. Immediately, I place the salt in the sriracha and start to grind the salt. And then, once the salt is ground, I take those sesame seeds and place it in the sriracha, and then you grind it. So I like to go in a clockwise motion and just grind it like this. See that? Just keep on grinding until it's all ground up, and there you go. So this is what it looks like. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is just sprinkle a little bit of, well, now, let's use my fingers. A little bit of sesame gamasio on there. So that's it. So now we have to roll it up. So the secret is you need wet hands. So let's just check this real quick. Okay, hold on. 1 second. Okay. So I wet my fingers, wash my hands, and then take my wet fingers and just moisten the top of the nori. Okay, can y'all see that? How pretty that looks? Then I'm going to take my thumbs and place it on the side of the nori that's closest to me and just lift it up while my fingers are holding the filling in, okay? So slowly lift my thumbs and then with my hands, tuck it in. So you want to tuck this in, okay? And squeeze it tight. And then once everything is in there, you start to roll. And there you go. That's it. And then you have to cut it. That's it. All right, so here we go. A lot of people use a sushi mat, but I prefer to hand roll, so it's just easier for me. So that's it. We're just going to cut it. Let me wash my hands again. All right. What is that? Okay. Here's a knife. All righty. Here's a nice ceramic serrated knife. So then I'm just going to take, now the way I cut it, I'm holding the sushi roll with these 3 fingers and my thumb. This is what I'm holding it with. And the index finger is going to hold the piece that I'm cutting just to guide it. There we go. So again, I'm holding this and with this finger, and then you slice it. It really helps to have a sharp knife with this. Okay. Okay. So now you take a plate and then you put it on and you got everything on there. And that's it. Okay. Look at that. Okay, put the one at the end in the middle. And then just, I don't want to keep on using my fingers. Let's just get I need you can sprinkle. What I'm looking for is a spoon, but let's take those chopsticks. So I'm going to take some sesame seeds and just kind of sprinkle it over the top. All right, there we go. And this is your sushi rolls with avocado. And thank you. And tempeh and sauerkraut. Who wants one? Anyone? Any takers? Okay. All right. So now we got to finish the stew. So let me get the stew. All right. All right. So see how quickly the stew finished cooking already. That was fast. So what we're going to do to finish the stew is add kuzu to it. So see this? The kabocha is soft and all the vegetables are soft but not mushy. So remember that little tiny bit of water it put on the bottom? Well, it made a lot more. And the reason why is the tamari helps draw out the water. So if you can see this, I'm going to tilt the camera. The container. See how that looks? See that? Okay. So I want to thicken up that liquid on the bottom. And the way I'm going to do that is with some kuzu. And kuzu is a root starch that's very medicinal, and it's used in place of cornstarch or arrowroot. So all I need to do is add a little bit of cold water into this. Let's just add that. Okay. Okay, so see, you just add the water in there and you stir it. Make sure it's cold water, because if you use hot water, then it will just clump up and not dissolve all the way. So you gotta add cold water. See, just a matter of moments, it dissolved. Then we're gonna make a well in the middle and just pour this kuzu right in. Oh, okay. All right, we're almost done here. There we go. Then what I'm going to do is just stir it around, and because it's still hot, it's activating. Now sometimes if it's not hot enough, you have to bring it back to the stove. So now it's all done, and the kabocha that I put on top is melted and just covering all those vegetables to make them so sweet. You would not believe how good this tastes. Okay, so here we go. Can you see that? How does that look? It's hot. Okay, all right. So we have sushi rolls, the Azuki beans, and I can plate it so it looks really pretty. That's good, and we'll be done. Let's get a plate. Okay. So we have sushi rolls on here, and then the stew. And let's see, whoops. Then we have, what else do we have? The beans. Let's get some beans. And then the greens. And almost done. Let's just put this here. Okay. And greens. Now we're almost done here. Yeah. And you can just take a little bit, gamasio, put that on there. Love gamasio. Okay. So this is our macrobiotic meal for today. Can y'all see that? Can you see it okay? Yes.
Can you bring it closer to the camera?
Okay.
Oh, there you go. And slightly more tilted. There, yes, very nice.
Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Did you think about proportions when you plated it, or?
Yes, proportion wise, let's see. Usually I like to do half a cup to 2/3 of a cup of rice. I kind of like to stay at a half a cup now, but you can have a cup of rice if you like. And then the beans about a half a cup for me, and then the root vegetables about a half a cup, and then the greens about a half a cup too. Of course, you can have as much as you want. It's not, it just depends on what you like. But again, the meal is grains, beans, vegetables, and the types of vegetables. There's 3 types of vegetables, actually 4, including sea vegetables. Okay, the vegetables that grow up, they have a yin energy and they grow up. And then there's vegetables that are on the ground, like the kabocha squash or a cabbage, and that's more balanced. And then there's vegetables that grow down, like onions and carrots, and that has a more yang energy, more earthly. And then there's another category, and that's the sea vegetables, and that grows in the ocean. Those are yin as well, they grow up. Then there's kombu, and there's wakame, and there's arame, hijiki, dulse, all kinds, nori, and canton. And you can use these sea vegetables for so many things. You can use canton, for example, for making a dessert. Um, it's the same thing. You can use it like Jello. You just take your apples and some apple juice or water and you cook it and you dissolve the canton flakes. You use about 1 tablespoon of the canton flakes per cup of liquid. So you just dissolve that in the water and you cook it for about 15 minutes or so, could be 10 depending, and until it's all dissolved. And then you add in your other ingredients. You could add in, like I said, chopped apples or blueberries, and then you can put it in a dish, and then it will set up, will firm up like Jello. Now, kuzu, on the other hand, will make it a pudding like silken smoothie, where the canton makes it firm. And then the rame and hijiki are excellent vegetables to use as a side dish. And what I like to do with those is maybe saute some onions, carrots, celery, cabbage, and even corn, and put the hijiki or yarame in there, a little toasted sesame oil and tamari and scallions, and that's a delicious side dish. And it has a lot of iron and lots of minerals, calcium, and it's just a wonderful addition to a macrobiotic meal. And other types of pickles that are good are a daikon pickle, and those are pickled with rice bran over a long period of time. So they just take a long daikon radish, dry it, and pickle it in a bucket with all kinds of rice bran, and then it comes out months later just very soft and salty, but delicious, and all you need is a few slices of that, but it's good. And then there's ginger pickles. Again, there's dill pickles and all kinds of pickles, but pickles are a good probiotic, and as well as sauerkraut and kimchi, and that again helps digestion. And we went over the rice, again, the grains, the different types of grains. Again, your whole grains, such as millet, rice, quinoa, amaranth, and then your pastas and soba noodles are good as well on occasion. And then the beans, we went over lentils, Azuki beans, and chickpeas as the main beans, and then the vegetables, root vegetables, and then the greens and seed vegetables. So that really makes up a macrobiotic meal. You can do so many other things, let me show you, with those things. Here, for example, I made some patties, and this is like a whole grain patty with black beans and pinto and millet and shiitake mushrooms and vegetables. And then I have one more thing I wanted to show you. Okay. Oh, here's another thing. This is a lentil loaf. And this lentil loaf has brown rice and lentils and lots of vegetables, shiitake mushrooms, and you just mix it all together and you bake it. And I made a gravy for it with shiitake mushrooms and onions, and that's just delicious. So you can do whole pot meals like this or separate with the rice. Okay, so that's it. So let's get cooking, right? Everybody should cook. And I'm so grateful that I know how to cook, and it's wonderful not to have to order food, because especially in this pandemic, it's just crazy. It's important to cook your own food, and the reason why is you know what you're getting, and you want to get all organic ingredients, and you're preparing yourself. So you want to I put a lot of love and good energy in my food. So I don't know what kind of energy other people are putting in, right? So you got to cook for yourself, and or have somebody that you trust cook for you. So that's it. Here again, here's the meal, and hope you enjoyed the class.
Thank you very much, Diane.
You're welcome.
Thank you for persisting, for coming, joining us, and for teaching. It was a very nice class. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. Enjoy, everybody. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Great.